Speaker, we will take no lessons from these conservatives, Mr. Speaker. Canadians have heard the leader of the opposition when he advocate for crypto to Canadians. When it comes to groceries, Canadians are saying thanks, but no thanks, leader of the opposition. We know what we're doing, Mr. Speaker, and yesterday was the first steps. We call on the big grocers to be part of the solution. We express the frustration of millions of Canadians. We ask them to come with concrete plans to stabilize prices. On this side of the House and this caucus, we'll fight for Canadians, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, yeah.
Gang, what's up? Aaron here, Canadian Looney. In this one, we've got another committee investigation with Francois Philippe Champagne, our finance minister. This little lapdog freak weasel rat won't give a straight answer, and he's so condescending about the way he does it. Watch the way he speaks to young Sandra Cabina here. Like, there's no respect in this guy's playbook whatsoever. He's a troll. Let's take a look. This is who is in charge of your finances in Canada. This little weasel who will not give a straight answer, and he condescends to you with every word he speaks. Let's take a peek. Everybody's going to... Francois Philippe Champagne really is a rat weasel dog. Man, people need to open up their eyes to what is really happening. How deceptive is this little man? He's tiny, like 3'6", 60 pounds, soaking wet. Let's take a peek.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Cabina? Minister, I'd like to have a frank discussion with you. Just simple questions, simple answers. You say you want to change how you budget. And I have to ask myself, why not change your reckless spending instead? Because if I can say to my husband, buying too many purses is an investment, but that doesn't change the fact that it is irresponsible. So my question to you is, why are you changing how you present the budget rather than changing your reckless spending so that on a net basis, you actually balance it?
Well, you should ask yourself why you voted against measures that support Canadians. I think people watching at home would be surprised to see your voting records and say you voted against measures that would make their life more easy.
Very simple answer. I really want you to answer my question. Why are you changing how you're presenting it rather than actually trying to balance the budget?
I think Canadians are entitled to transparency. In a frank discussion between you and I think your husband and your family and everyone in your riding is entitled to have more transparency to see the budgeting, where their tax dollars going to be used. I think this is about clarity, transparency.
I agree. Transparency is a good thing. But every single person in my riding does not get to rework their budget to see if it looks better at month end. The bottom line is the bottom line. Yep. If you don't have money, you don't have money. Why are you changing how you're presenting the budget instead of actually balancing it?
So the bottom line is the bottom line, but I think you cannot be against giving more information to Canadians. People want to know where their money is going. Is it for expenses or investment?
The result is the same.
Is the deficit going to be higher than under your government and Mr. Carney's government compared to Trudeau's?
You should be informing your constituent that we have the lowest deficit to GDP ratio in the G7.
Minister, please.
No, but
I'm
that
asking
really
a very
matters.
simple question. Is it going to be higher
That really
than
matters.
Trudeau's or not?
I would say you need to compare our fiscal position with the other G7 country because Canadians look at that. Our colleagues,
Minister,
the bond rating agency.
Numbers don't change. It's black and white. I come from the financial sector. Is it going to be higher than Trudeau's or lower than Trudeau's?
I know you come from the financial sector, and that's why I'm happy you're on the finance committee, but you would know because you're a very smart...
Minister. Thank you, Ms. Copey.
Oh, yeah.
Minister, on what year will budget be balanced?
Our budget will be a generational investment in the future of this country, and you're going to be happy, Mr. Kelly, because there'll be a lot for you to talk about to your people in Alberta.
But if you don't mind, Minister, would you answer my question? And what year will it be balanced?
And like I said, I've already responded to this question, but what you're going to see is generational investments to put this country on a path for
Minister,
the
you may
strongest
have,
economy in the G7.
Minister, you may have responded to the question, but you haven't answered it. So I'm asking you, since this is a parliamentary committee, if you would answer the question. In what year will the budget balance?
I've already answered that question. You can ask me as many
Humor me then
times as you
and
want,
answer it.
sir, but the answer
Tell
is
me-
going to
tell
be
me when you
very
answered that
similar to what
question.
I've told you before. I've already answered that question, and we've been very clear that we're going to be balancing the operating budget by 28-29.
Okay. Minister, it's correct. You have been asked this question many times, including by me. You have responded many times. You have never answered it. You have just now said something about an operating budget. So I understand that you are distracting Canadians with accounting rule changes, but I'd like you to answer. I'll give you one more chance to answer my question. When will the budget be balanced?
I've heard you very well, and I think it's irresponsible for a member of parliament to suggest the question you've been asking. The deficit and the debt will be calculated and presented as it has always been in accordance with the accounting principle. So I would say Canadians are watching that, and they're watching you carefully. What we're saying, they understand it. I just did a press conference, and I trust you. Canadians understand that. They really understand that. They said the government will present a new lens, so they have more transparency, more clarity. And you should talk to your colleagues at the provincial level. They really welcome what we're doing, sir. And that's what you've been asking me. So for the record, the Committee of Parliament has been asking
Okay, Minister,
the Minister of Finance to
I've-
change the budget
Minister,
cycle.
you're
We're
not answering
responding
the
to wish of
question.
Parliament.
Minister, you are refusing to answer the question, as you have refused to answer this question repeatedly. So I am left to conclude that the budget will never be balanced under this government. In fact, at the Operations Committee, when asked, at the Operations Committee, the PBO said the path we're on currently isn't sustainable. And when he was asked what year the budget will be balanced, the PBO said, is that a trick question?
Well,
I mean, but it's not a trick question. It's a question that Canadians need answered by the Minister of Finance. Will you answer at this committee and tell Canadians what year you will balance the budget?
let me just quote the previous parliamentary budget officer. It's not shocking to see deficit go up because the economy is slowing and we have NATO commitment. To me, it's sustainable. That's Kevin Page, sir, who has been a parliamentary budget officer for quite some time.
Yes, he did. He did great work.
Actually, what he
Minister,
said is the reflection. I so wish he would be at the G7 meetings with me, because he would see what colleagues are doing. We have the most stable fiscal position of the G7.
Okay, Minister,
we have
no,
the
you're not
lowest
answering
debt
the
to
question,
GDP,
so we'll
the
try a
lowest
different
deficit
question,
to
Minister.
You should at least tell Canadians as it is, sir. Those are facts.
Minister.
You can have your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts.
Indeed,
I mean,
Minister,
the
it's
facts
a fact.
are what they are, sir.
It's a
We have a
fact that the
AAA
budget-
credit rating like Germany.
The current budget deficit is projected to be your current budget deficit does not even include NATO commitments. If we are to include the C.D. Howe Institute, for example, stated that if we start to include your commitments that you've made publicly, that the deficit may be as high as $90 billion. Is that correct? Will it be over $90 billion if you keep some of your spending promises?
Are you suggesting that we should not meet our NATO commitments or defend the sovereignty of Canada?
No, I'm suggesting that you should answer a question.
Well, the answer is very clear. We're going to meet our NATO commitments. We're going to invest in the sovereignty of Canada. And Canadians have understand the world is changing and we need to make these generational investments.
Hey, that's something everyone can enjoy.
You have 6 minutes for the Conservatives.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, what are your fiscal anchors?
Madam Chair, and I'd like to say thank you to the member of the committee. It's a real pleasure to see you. We have been very clear during the campaign that we will be balancing the operating budget in the next 3 years.
That's your fiscal anchor?
That is a fiscal anchor that we have been talking about and that we put in the platform.
Are there more?
We said that there will be a declining deficit to GDP over the same period.
Okay, so the deficit to GDP ratio that you're claiming is supposed to decline, the PBO says that he doesn't think so. And he doesn't even think that you have fiscal anchors right now. Is he right?
I would say different parliamentary budget officers have had a different view, I would say, than the one you're referring to now. I would say, Madam Chair, Canadians should rejoice because Canada has a very strong fiscal position. We have the lowest debt to GDP ratio in the G7.
Minister,
we have the lowest deficit to GDP ratio in the G7.
Sticking on the deficit
we are
to
only
GDP
one
ratio,
of 2 countries in the G7
your
which has
fiscal to
a
GDP
AAA
ratio
credit rating.
was supposed to be 1%. It's doubled right now. and you're saying that it's supposed to decline. It doesn't look like it's going to decline. You literally, according to the PBO, are going to have 80% higher deficits, and the economy is shrinking. So how do you square that? How do you square having higher deficits, a shrinking economy, your deficit to GDP ratio is already double what you claimed it was supposed to be? How is it supposed to decline?
Madam Chair, I have more confidence in Canadians and the Canadian economy perhaps than my colleague. Canada has a very enviable fiscal position. When you look at the G7, Madam Chair, and I attend these meetings, I chair them, you would say that our colleagues would say that Canada has a very stable fiscal position. We have the means of our ambition, and we're going to seize that generational opportunity. Having the lowest debt to GDP ratio and the lowest deficit to GDP ratio in the G7, plus a AAA credit rating, I would argue, and I know you're the official critics for finance, so you would know that, that is a pretty enviable position. Only Germany has a AAA credit rating in the G7, and Canada is one of them.
You know,
we have a
Canada
very strong
has
fiscal
the
position.
Fastest shrinking economy in the G7, and saying that we would have the AAA credit rating is almost like a participation ribbon right now for Canadians waiting in food bank lines, because they're the ones who are suffering with your government spending. And again, you didn't answer the question specifically. You're claiming that the deficit to GDP ratio is going to be going down, but there's no specifics. Are you saying that in this fantasy budget that somehow the GDP is going to massively grow at the same time having deficits that are going to be 80% higher than what even Justin Trudeau had, which is surprising?
I think it's pretty offensive for Canadians who are listening this morning to your comments, because Canadians will be reminded that your government...
I'll correct you, Minister, that the PBO
party,
said that about your ratio. He said that your ratio is very alarming, stupefying, shocking, and unsustainable. That's what the PBO said. We agree. Canadians agree. Do you agree?
I would say there is Kevin Page said, and I quote, Madam Chair,
is the
it's not
PBO lying?
Madam Chair, do you want me to answer? Otherwise, I'm happy to listen to your question.
It was
all
a
day,
yes or no answer, Minister.
But if you want me to answer, if you just want to ask the question and the answer, Canadians will
form
their judgment.
Yes, Mr. Turnbull.
Sure, I know that it's the informal practice at committee, because I've been on many committees, to give the minister at least as much time as it took the member to ask the question, at least. The minister wasn't even able to get the first word out.
On the point of order.
Mr. Kelly.
The minister ran my colleague's clock earlier in the round. I think it works itself out.
Okay,
Mr. Hillan, I'll just ask everyone to maintain a respectful atmosphere. Thank you.
Definitely. Okay, I don't see the minister will answer that, because we all believe the PBO in saying that the finances are unsustainable. Moving on, like you said in your statement, you want to make operational spending whatever that is, and balance it in 3 years. The Mark Carney, the Prime Minister, tried this failed experiment in the UK last year. It failed horribly, and now you guys are trying to try the same accounting trick here in Canada. When at the end of the day, the bottom line is still the bottom line. I'll quote the PBO and what he's saying for your claims about splitting it between operating and capital costs. The PBO said, "We haven't seen a clear definition of what would fall into capital and would fall into operating." He further said about your operating budget that we currently don't have a definition of operating budget. He went on to say something very alarming. The bottom line of the government will not change, which means debt is still debt at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how many columns you try to present in front of Canadians and try to trick them. He went on to say the international public sector standards that everyone uses to measure the deficit and levels of debt will not change. The first reason that won't change is those are the accounting standards. The second reason is the ratings agencies won't let you change it. That's the first thing they're going to go to. And if they have a sniff that somehow there's a change in presentation, you bet your boots that we're going to be paying more for debt pretty quickly. So you guys are going to try the same failed experiment that Mark Carney advised the UK government on just last year. So are you guys going to be cooking the books, trying to trick Canadians with these tricky accounting practices, or both?
I think, Madam Chair, it's irresponsible for a member of Parliament to use language like that. I will say that. It's irresponsible. Because the member knows full well that we're not replacing anything, we're adding. This is a new lens for people at home to understand.
Would the minister agree debt is debt?
Madam Chair, I'm happy to listen to his question, but if I'm not allowed to respond to the same time, I've been a minister for quite some time in this House. Normally, I have the
Indeed.
same time than
That's
the
why
colleague.
it's not a new government.
Canadians deserve to correct the record because that was an irresponsible statement.
Minister, and thank you, Mr. Halan. That's time for that round.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you all for watching. Aaron right here. FPC is very condescending, as we just saw. Hard to get a straight answer there, no doubt. This guy enjoys being the villain. He embraces it. Like nobody else. There's nobody else quite like FPC. Like he's it's just a lot to take. Aaron Canadian Looney, thank you for watching this video. All the committee videos, we covered the question periods, House of Commons, all of those things. That's it. We'll catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching this one. That FPC drives me wild. No joke.